Hi, thank you for tuning in. Today we're talking about preparing for high stakes and difficult conversations. As leaders, we have many skills and tools we develop to help us. I believe becoming comfortable and expert in high stakes conversations is a critical skill to add to your leadership skills toolbox. The 3 simple steps today help you to control the conversation, be clear on your thoughts, and be ready to listen, and set yourself up for a successful two-way conversation. The goal is that you practice and integrate this into your thinking of a situation so that you naturally just go through the steps. What you want to avoid is letting yourself just wing it or getting sucked into a tangent conversation when you're not ready. Honestly, the stakes can just be too high, especially in a professional setting. For those of you who don't know me, I want to share a little bit about myself. I'm Andrea Almaraz. I'm co-founder of Positive Shift Partners LLC, and I have 25 years of experience in team development and operations management. I spent the first 15 years of my career working in Fortune 500 telecommunications and manufacturing companies. And then more recently, I've spent the last 10 years working with entrepreneurs and small business owners. When I look back at my work, I realize how lucky I am that I came into the professional world just as top-down authority models were coming into question and new models of leadership and team development were being created. Now, more than ever, that strict top-down authority model with one person making all the decisions, they don't work. Not in large companies or in small businesses. And as you move into more bottoms-up open leadership models, it becomes even more important that you're skilled in handling difficult, high-stakes conversations. So today, I want to talk to you and take you through the high-stakes conversation prep worksheet to give you a strong foundation. With practice, these simple steps help you control the conversation, be clear on your thoughts, and be ready to truly listen and be in the conversation. Also, I want to add, this is really one part of a much larger body of my coaching work. For instance, high stakes conversations go hand in hand with decision making, creating a culture of safety and openness, creating accountability, project management, and the list goes on. But here today, I will focus on how you can prepare and set yourself up successfully for a high stakes conversation. So what is a high stakes or difficult conversation? Difficult conversations appear for all kinds of reasons, whether it's a disagreement between leaders, partners, employees, or customers. Every aspect of business has the potential for conflict. We're human, and that's how it goes. For example, a really common situation is a project review meeting. Let's say one of your projects is behind schedule, and it's a high profile project and there's money on the line. And the leader of your division is in this meeting, and a colleague just called you out for your project missing a deadline that's impacting their work. This type of scenario happens all the time. All eyes are on you, you're on the spot, and it's so easy to get defensive or even angry. After all, you didn't get into this situation all on your own. But you don't want your emotions to take over. If your project is behind schedule, and missing key deadlines, there are serious issues to discuss, and you need to get support, and likely you need to renegotiate deadlines. This is much harder to do when you're defensive and finger pointing at others. You can't, and you shouldn't stop feeling. It's right to care. This is your work after all, but it's all about how to express those feelings. Sometimes it's not in your best interest to let it all out. You can end up extra defensive, blaming, and judging without ever even attending to. Intense emotions have a tendency to hijack your brain, and that can make you look, feel, and act unprofessional. This takes us right to the first step. Do not get emotionally hijacked. There's nothing wrong with emotion, but when you're emotionally hijacked, it disrupts both the way you process information and the way you retain it. Feelings are a normal part of life, and expressing them is often what makes us real. Yet losing it, especially in a professional setting, can block your ability to think clearly, and often it can reduce your credibility. This is especially true if you let yourself go off in meetings routinely. People make judgments. Oh, there she goes again. You can just hear it, right? During a high stakes conversation, you know, if you get triggered, you're operating out of the part of your brain called the amygdala, which is our fight or flight center. Unfortunately, operating, from this fight or flight mode doesn't help us to have a calm exchange or to get a constructive outcome. So how do you get yourself out of fight or flight? One of the simplest ways is to simply pause. You pause, take a deep breath, and make a conscious decision. It's so simple, and yet it is so hard. When you find ways to calm your emotions, the prefrontal cortex, the critical thinking portion of our brain, is engaged. You can then start to think and not just react. And the exchange becomes more logical and less emotional. So when you pause, ask yourself, is this a good time to have a high stakes conversation? While the other person is speaking, take the time to focus on your breath. Simply focusing on long, deep breaths takes you out of your head and into your body. If you stay in your head, you're likely to let your emotions get the best of you, as you'll be operating out of your amygdala. But another way to give yourself a pause and get into your body is to take a drink of water. It's a small action, but it literally gives you a few seconds to calm yourself, to catch yourself. And in that pause, give yourself a choice. If the stakes are high and you do not feel that you're really ready or have all the information you need, find a mutually good time to get back together. Give yourself permission to delay the conversation. This is not a weakness. Rescheduling the conversation allows all parties involved to have the time to reset. Simply say, I really want to have this conversation with you, and be fully present. Can we meet at? No matter the level of risk or the stakes of the conversation, getting back into your body and out of a knee-jerk reaction is the first step to a good dialogue. And let me add, not every hard, difficult conversation is high stakes. But when they really are high stakes, and you know that there are going to be consequences from that conversation, good and bad, make sure you're prepared. And if you need more time to prep, give yourself that choice. All right, so that takes us to step 2. Step 2 is to set your intentions for the conversation. And this is important. You want to be clear on your intention and the desired outcome for the conversation. What is the result you're going for? Be as specific as possible and share that specific intention right from the beginning. This will support your conversation in a couple of ways. First, you're being transparent and open right from the beginning on what you'd like to accomplish with the conversation. So no hidden agendas. And 2, it helps keep you focused with less chance of the conversation bouncing around to unrelated topics. It's easy, even in normal circumstances, for a conversation to get off topic. So this serves as an anchor for your talk. Simply start your conversation with this sentence: my intention for this conversation is, and then share authentically, what you're going for and what the outcome is that what you would like. Step 3 is to listen with empathy. This means coming to the conversation looking to understand without judgment. You're listening to understand. You're not just listening to craft your reply. If you're in person or you can see each other, remember to pay attention to both the verbal and the nonverbal language. People communicate a lot nonverbally. And a good way to keep yourself looking for the other person's point of view is to ask questions. Let's face it, we can too easily get sucked into making assumptions about what they're saying when it proves our case. This can lock you into judgment. So ask clarifying questions to help yourself stay open. While this is easy for me to say, it's so much harder to do unless you come to the conversation less emotionally triggered. A powerful way to show you've been really listening is to calmly reflect back what you've heard. So just say, okay, so this is what I hear you saying. Then you say what you think you heard. And then ask them, did I hear you correctly? So this gives them a chance to state their case in a different way. These simple steps: pause, set a clear intention, and listen with empathy will help you to control the conversation, be clear on your thoughts, and be ready to listen and set yourself up for a successful, professional two-way conversation. It's vital for all of us, especially those in senior leadership roles, to develop strong emotional intelligence skills. And of course, your employees and colleagues are responsible for their own emotional reactions. But you're a leader, and as a business leader, you have impact and influence on the people you lead. If you allow your emotions to get in the way, your demeanor can be counterproductive to your team's performance and to your team morale. One last tip. You can be deep into a conversation and come to a realization that it's spiraling out of control. It is not too late. You can literally ask for a timeout and say, let's come back to this conversation a little bit. With practice and intention, you can transform your high stakes, stressful conversations into collaborative exchanges. Thank you again for tuning in today. I loved having you here. Just so you know, I'm passionate about helping leaders build teams and processes that get results. And if you want more information and more tips from me, you can follow me on my blog, The Positive, and or connect with me on LinkedIn. Have a great day.